Since asylum is one of the primary forms of relief you seek, my tip focuses on supportive evidence for asylum cases. So I'm going to discuss why I think this is important, talk about gathering evidence as part of the case development process, go over some different types of evidence you can gather, as well as some tips to stay organized. So why gather supporting evidence? That might be the first question and a good place to start. In asylum law, the testimony of the applicant, if credible, may be sufficient to sustain the burden of proof without corroboration. So that's important. That's really significant. But additionally, an adjudicator may require evidence to corroborate otherwise credible testimony unless the applicant does not have the evidence and cannot reasonably obtain the evidence. So that's why this is important. And I think it's why it's helpful and important for the advocate to be intentional about evidence gathering from the start and as they're building the case, and to be proactive about it. Additionally, I think evidence can just be persuasive, and it can help the immigration judge or the asylum officer, if you're in an interview, get a good sense for the case and perhaps be persuaded before you even walk through the door for that interview or the hearing. It's part of your entire case development, developing a case theory. It's about storytelling and sharing your client's story in a way that flows, that's logical, that makes sense, and that's persuasive. So you're likely going to be working with your client with a declaration regarding their story, and that's done in most asylum cases. I'm not going to focus there, but instead on what other types of evidence can you gather. So just to give you some ideas, and this is not exclusive, but just to, again, kind of help those juices flow and get you thinking. So you might be gathering country conditions evidence, so news articles and reports and universal expert declarations perhaps on a particular issue to provide background and context of what's going on in your client's home country. There might be other documentary evidence you want to gather. If your client relates to, family issues, familial ties, you might want to get birth certificates, marriage certificates to document that those relationships exist. There might be facts related to business ownership or land ownership of family members. So you might be able to gather documents supporting that, or perhaps membership in a particular political organization or movements. There might be documents related to that organization, or maybe they have a membership card based off of their participation in a group. There also could be facts related to past harms, threats experienced, harm suffered, or a death of a family member or someone close to them. So there might be death certificates or other health records, medical records to show that injury, or perhaps records to show, ongoing symptoms based off trauma that was suffered. And there might also be news articles related to that harm suffered or other incidents, significant events that perhaps they saw or knew about that shaped what they went through and how they were feeling and how they continue to feel in terms of their level of fear. So there might be other news articles that more directly relate to your client's case. There could also be school records if there's an issue relating to their school performance or what was going on at their school. So these are just to give you some ideas. You might also want to gather declarations or letters from family members, witnesses, if there's something that particularly occurred, neighbors, those with knowledge or information about what your client suffered or fears. And then in getting experts involved, and this could be an expert on country conditions, an expert on particular issues such as gender issues, or domestic violence or child abuse, and then also medical experts. So the medical expert can do an evaluation and speak to any physical harm suffered or their mental health conditions, and again, those impacts of trauma on your client, how they're continuing to have ongoing, long-lasting symptoms, and how those symptoms impact their lives, even now based off of what previously occurred. And that can manifest in a number of ways in terms of difficulty with concentration or memory or impacts on sleep and having nightmares or, more agitation and anxiety. So this can be really useful and helpful. And the expert statements can come through via declarations, reports, those evaluations, and sometimes experts will additionally testify, and that will depend per case. Asylum is a discretionary form of relief, so also consider evidence to show positive equities. Is your client doing well in school? Are they volunteering? Are they involved in their community, in a club, in a group that's, showing how they're engaged here? Are they being a supportive family member and friend? Are you able to get letters from those who know your client well to show their good character and integrity? You're not going to win asylum based off of this evidence, but again, it's a discretionary form of relief. It still can impact a case. And, judges are people too. So I think it can be helpful just to show the judge your client as a full person and who they are through this documentary evidence. There are resources to help you navigate this and to locate resources, to locate experts. And I'll just go through a few of these, and feel free to reach out to CILA if you want more specific information or additional information. But CGRS has great asylum law resources and trainings, as well as expert database and universal expert declarations. So that can be really helpful. Temple, University Beasley School of Law, and WOLA have an annotated table of contents project with many resources on different issues. CILA has a compilation of resources specific to LGBTQIA+ cases, as well as other asylum law resources. And the ABA Commission on Immigration also has several resources, including a resource and training on drafting declarations and affidavits and working with experts. So those are just a few that I'd flag to help you through this process. So a great tool to help you stay organized as you do this is to use something like the CILA evidence matrix chart. And we have this for asylum where it goes through the elements of asylum, and then it has a column for facts and a column for evidence. And so as you're developing your case theory, as you're working with your client, you can fill that chart in, and that really can be a great way to stay organized. I hope this tip helped. Feel free to reach out to CILA if you have any questions or if you want additional information. Have a great day, and thank you for your advocacy and work.